for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear them apart. We been in survival, rival, I ain't got no time for anyone who ain't put in the work that I do. You ain't heard about it, think I'm gonna remind you. I've been out here doing what I say, it's what defines you. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house. Yeah, and we came to put it down. This is our house. We'll go around, come around. This is our house. Hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house. Yeah, and we came to put it down. This is our house. You could doubt us, that's fine, but know one thing, real legend don't die. You could doubt us, that's fine, but know one thing, real legend don't die. And we ain't gonna leave till we win. It's 10 out of 10, y'all they can't believe what they see. And they telling a friend, yo, go pay the rent. This is our house, we beat them all down. Energized by the crowd, they saying it now. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house.
Welcome to the Niner Sickness Podcast.
How is everyone doing? Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorials. Want to start off the show with appreciation to all the men and women that have served, is serving in the military. Just want to say thank you so much for your services. We truly appreciate your sacrifices, past, present, and future. How is everybody doing today? I am your boy Niner Sickness with another episode of the Niner Sickness Podcast coming to you early in the morning, at least for me, because I am not a morning person. Welcome. We're going to talk 49er football. We're going to talk specifically the defensive line. Will the defensive line be any different than it was last year? Not only because we changed defensive coordinator, but because we brought some new additions to that front four. All of that right after this.
Interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement.
For more awesome content, like and subscribe now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good. Happy Memorial Day. Let's see who we have on the podcast. We got my beautiful goddaughter, Jade. How you doing, mija? Nino says hello. Nino loves you. Good to see you. We got Eric in the house. What's up, Eric? We got Romello Bell in the house. What's up? Welcome. Bebop in the house. What's up, Bebop? Good to see you, Bebop. Good to see you. Cruzelda in the house. What's up? What's up? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk 49er football. This is why we are here today, to talk 49er football. We're going to talk specifically about the defensive line. That defensive line wasn't what I wanted to see last year. I understand that Bosa was in his contract year. He came late. Although he did not miss the first game of the season, he did miss OTAs and training camp, and that seemed to affect him a little bit. And this is what we're dealing with Brandon Ayuk. So hopefully they'll be able to take care of that pretty soon. But I wanted to talk about the defensive line, How important is the defensive line? Now, we know we have a great offense. We know we can put 30-plus points on any given defense, on any given Sunday. The Niners are stacked offensively, but the defense took a step back last year. Last year, it took a step back, and I wasn't too happy with the production of our four horsemen in front. Now, the defense overall wasn't bad. Okay? Now, they got a little bit worse against the run, and that's something we're going to talk about as well, covering the edges, stopping the run. But the results in sacks weren't there. Now, I know it's not about sacks, it's about pressures, but you got to finish if you're a defensive lineman or a defensive tackle, right? You got to finish. And how do you finish? By sacking the quarterback. And we did not get that much production, unfortunately, in that area. Now, as I bring these individuals up, I want to keep an open mind that I don't believe in a bust player until the third year. Now, some players can give you a projection of they might be a bust before the third year, but most importantly, you got to remember, a lot of these players don't develop like Nick Bosa from day one. Some of these guys take a minute to kind of get their feet underneath them, figure out the defensive calls, the whole new defense they're coming into. So I give them grace until their 30 year. On their 30 year and beyond, if they are not doing what they're supposed to do, then I will chalk it out as a bust. Solomon Thomas wasn't what I expected him to be by year 3. Now, he did show signs that he was going to be a bust, but to me, it did not seal until year 3. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with that. Do you think that a player can be a bust year 1 based on their performance? Or do you believe that sometimes it takes a minute for them to kind of figure crap out? Sometimes they got to figure things out, and year 2, year 3, they start figuring stuff out and they begin to show what they can do and what they did in college. What's up, Eddie? We got 49er Eddie in the house. What's up, 49er Eddie? Says, hello. Beto, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you for popping in. We got Daniel Cantu in the house. How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome to the show. You guys are awesome. So, what do the Niners need to do to improve that front four? Because to me, I believe, this is my thoughts only. A lot of people have different thoughts of the secondary and the front line. Some people say that if you have a good secondary, it helps out the front four. If you have a great pass rush front four, it helps out the secondary. Now, in a world like it was before the whole salary cap, you were able to have a great secondary and a great front four on a defense. But now you kind of have to figure out which way and which direction you want to go. Do you want to put money in the front four, or do you want to put money in the back, in the secondary? And I believe that Kyle and John Lynch have shown that they chose to emphasize on the front four and kind of substitute in the secondary. They feel that if you put pressure on the quarterback and you disrupt what the quarterback is trying to do, you will help out the secondary. Now, do you guys believe that, or let me rephrase it. If you were the GM or if you were the defensive coordinator, what would you prefer to have? A top A front four and a C plus secondary? Or would you rather have an A plus secondary and a C plus front four? What would you do as a defensive coordinator? Where would you emphasize your money and your star power? In the front or in the back? I'm interested in knowing, because a lot of people have different perspective in that. I think if you put pressure on the quarterback, if you disrupt what he's doing, if you move him around, knock him down, let him feel your presence, he will be off his game for the most part. His timing will be off. He'll be hearing footsteps, and this will allow the secondary to do better back there. But you gotta finish. You gotta finish. You gotta bring the quarterback down. You need to sack the quarterback in order to help out your secondary. What's up, 187 is in the house. Bang Bang Niner Gang. That's what I'm talking about. Need to help Nick Bosa edges and the other side. Yes, very good point. Very good point, my friend. The last couple of years, or let's be honest, since we drafted Nick Bosa, the only opposite player that kind of gave Nick Bosa some help was, what was his name? The kid that they came from Kansas City. I can't think of his name. The kid that came over from Kansas City, he was able to, when he was healthy, he was able to complement Nick Bosa. But ever since he went down, it seems like the 49ers have been trying to find that second pass rusher that can complement Nick Bosa. And we haven't found it. If you let me know in the name, can you give me the name? I can't think of the name of the pass rusher that came over from Kansas City at the moment. If you guys can type it in the comments, I would sure appreciate it. But when he came over and he was healthy, he was able to really complement Nick Bosa, and we saw a style of defense that we liked. But he got hurt, remained hurt, and then was never the same. And we haven't been able to find that ideal complement to Nick. We were hoping it was going to be Chase Young, Nick Bosa's college roommate in Ohio State. But unfortunately, Chase Young did not perform to the standard of your San Francisco 49ers defensively. And that's why the Niners did not make an attempt to bring him back. Now, they went and brought in free agency Leonard Floyd. Let's talk about Leonard Floyd for a minute. Let's talk about Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd in the last 3 years has had at least 9 sacks. At least. Minimum of 9 sacks. When was the last time that the Niners had an edge rusher next to Nick Bosa that was able to give that much production opposite with 9 sacks? Now, if Leonard Floyd continues to go on in this trajectory and he's able to perform here in San Francisco the way that he was able to perform last year with Buffalo and this year past with the Rams, then we will finally get to see a good complement pass rusher to Nick Bosa. Imagine 2 guys setting the edge. We know Nick Bosa can set the edge, but we've been lacking that second guy. And I believe that Leonard Floyd could be the answer to that question that we Niner fans have been having for a minute. Can the Niners improve in 2024 with the front four when they struggled last year? That's a good point, Eddie. The secondary does. The whole rules nowadays compared to the Ronnie Lott's time of play has changed so much that it has benefited the defense. And it has hurt the defense as well. I mean, now if you even touch the quarterback once the ball goes off his hands, it's roughing the passer. 15 yards, roughing the passer. So damn ridiculous. I remember Joe Montana get rid of the ball. The ball was already out of his hands, and he would get smacked to the ground. And no calls were made back then. Now, again, I also understand that they're trying to prevent injuries. They're trying to keep the football players playing longer. Now, a lot of people think, well, the NFL wants the players to be safe. No, they don't. No, they don't. The NFL can care less about the wealth of a player. If we can keep it 100, do you honestly think that the NFL cares about a player injury if he's able to play a full career or not? The NFL just wants ratings, production on the field. If you can bring the ratings and the money can come in, the NFL is happy. Back in the day, there wasn't social media, there wasn't all this thing. So they were able to have the rules the way they were set back then. Nobody was complaining. Nobody came out being soft. This whole world has turned into mush. Mush, mush, mush. Oh, everybody's a winner. You get participant awards. I remember growing up as a kid, my kids growing up, you play football or you play any sports. If you won first place, you got first place trophy or second place. If you did not get third or down, you got nothing. And that inspired you to work harder, to go out and do better, to get that trophy. Nowadays, they give you what they call participant trophies. Oh, he participated. Let's give him a trophy. we have gotten soft across the board. And back in the day where quarterbacks were able to get hit and get back up, it was fun to watch football. But because of social media, because of all these people that, sue you for this, they sue you for that, this right, that right, the NFL had to change their policies because they didn't want to get sued. But believe me, if the NFL can keep it the way it was back in the 80s, they would do it because that brought people watching football because it was a gladiator type of sports. You don't see these great hits anymore. You know when you go to YouTube and you type in NFL greatest hits and you saw some crazy hits? You don't see that anymore. Why? Because defenders are scared to hit because they don't want to get penalized. Do you remember that one play? I forgot which team it was that we were playing, but Eric Armstead was he was on the right side of the end zone, and if he would have hit the quarterback hard, the quarterback would not make it into the end zone. I think it was against, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Justin Fields in the Bears game, where Justin Fields ran into the end zone, but because Eric Armstead did not want to get penalized, he kind of, I don't know what, he just stood there, and Justin Fields just walked into the end zone. Back in the day, he was not getting in. No way you get into the end zone. He would have got popped. And unfortunately for players like Eric Armstead, defensive players, they hold back because they don't want to get a costly penalty. They can hurt the team. And that's sad, man. That is sad, sad, sad. What's up, Jimmy? How you doing, sir? Welcome. We got Javier Rios. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? Órale, viva la raza, Holmes. Happy Memorial Day, guys. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend, your 3-day weekend for a lot of you that have the weekend off and have today off because of Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day weekend for all of you. But the game today is completely different from what it was in the 80s and 90s. Now, I mean, I remember watching a game not too long ago on YouTube. I think it was a 1983 game, 84. The quality was really, really good. You know, a lot of these videos, they're so old and you can tell it's an old video. Well, this particular video or game that I watched, the guy that uploaded it, it was like HD quality. So I kind of forgot that I was watching. Well, not forget because it was Joe Montana at quarterback, but I kind of forgot the rules. And when I seen a late hit, I'm like, where's the flag? Because I'm so used to that now, right? I was like, do you believe this? Where's the flag? And then my wife kindly reminded me, you're watching a older game? And I'm like, oh, damn, that's right. There were no flags back then. But because I'm so accustomed to, if you look at the quarterback the wrong way, you get a roughing the passer flag. And to me, it just takes away from the game. But can Leonard Floyd be that guy that can truly complement Nick Bosa? Can this defense be different? Not only because the change at coordinator, but because of the players themselves. How good can this defense be in 2024? Last year, front four, weaker. This year, good. They are quicker this time. But why were they weaker last year? Do you think it was the system they were in? Do you think that Steve Wilkes slowed that pass rush down? Why do you think they were weaker? They had Bosa, they had Hargrave, they had what's his name? Oh my goodness, he hasn't even been gone this long, and I already forgot his name. Eric Armstead. They had what's his name? Number 94. They left. They came from the Raiders. Later on, they had Chase Young. But yet, you're right. Their pass rush was much weaker last year than it has been the year before. How much of that is to blame on Steve Wilkes? Now, let me get something very, very clear here. Okay? I don't think that Steve Wilkes is a bad coordinator. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, but he wasn't the type of coordinator that we needed here in San Francisco based on what we do. Now, was Steve Wilkes kind of a bust here? Yes, but it wasn't his fault. Let's be honest. If anybody has to be blamed for that, that is going to be Kyle Shanahan. You hire a defensive coordinator, but then you cut his legs out. Think about it for a minute. You hire a defensive coordinator, but you cut off his legs day one. How do you expect it to be productive? You tell him you can't bring none of your people. You got to come in and you got to work with the staff that is already here. Then you tell them you can't bring none of your philosophies into this defense. You can kind of tweak it if you want, but this is what we're doing and this is what we want you to do, which is not necessarily the bread and butter of Steve Wilkes. So from day one, his legs were cut underneath him from Kyle. How could, overall, I really believe that Steve Wilkes did a good job. Now, I understand we're a Super Bowl team to kind of come in and reshape the whole defense, bring a whole different system, have the players learn a new system. I understand the complications in that, but to bring in Steve Wilkes, knowing that you were not going to run what he likes to do, was bizarre. It was bizarre. Now, Nick Sorensen, is he going to be good, or is he what you like to call a yes man? Is he going to be a yes man to Kyle? Is he going to do whatever Kyle says? Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Or is he going to have spine? Is Nick Sorensen, does he have a spine to stand up against Kyle? One thing I love about DeMeco Ryans, even though he was a first-time defensive coordinator, you can tell that DeMeco was not going to take no crap from Kyle. Now, obviously, he gave Kyle the respect that he deserved. He was the boss. DeMeco was working for him, but I don't think he was going to take a lot of things from him, and he was able to move on. Now, I expect Leonard Floyd to step up day one. Now, we also brought in this kid right here from the Panthers, Gross Matos. This kid is kind of fallen through the cracks. He was a really great player in college, hasn't really developed to the player that he wanted to be or the potential that he has to be in the NFL. Could Chris Kasarik bring the best out of this kid's career? Can he revive? Now, one thing about one-year contracts that these kids come into San Francisco is a launching pad. They come here, play under Chris Kasarik, develop some good qualities, and then they go and get paid. That's been the norm, right? The last few years, they come in, sign for 1 year, do very good under Chris Kasarik, and then they move on and get paid elsewhere. Will Chris Kasarik get the best out of this young man? And how effective could he be this year? He can play outside. He can play inside. Kind of like the kid that was with us a few years back. I believe he came from the Raiders. Then he went to the Texans, or he went somewhere after us. He might have went to trying to think, but can he be that type of player that can come in under Chris Kasarik, develop, and give us a great year? How many sacks would you guys be okay with from this kid? If we can keep it 100. What is okay and what is considered a great move compared to a bad move bringing him in? Let's say, for example, he has 6.5 sacks. Would that be a good year for this kid? Or if he had 6.5 sacks, you'd be like, that's not enough. Is the bar too high or too low at 6.5 sacks for this youngster right here? Gross Matos. All right, moving on. I don't know what is going to happen with this one. Now, I started the show earlier today mentioning that I don't believe in bust before 3 years. That's just me. You can kind of get an idea if a player is hitting that way, but I don't think that a bust is before 3 years. I think you need at least 3 years. I don't care what position you play. You need about 3 years to get a true indication of which direction you are going. This is year 3. This will be year 3 for one Drake Jackson. He's shown flashes, but he can't get off the tackle. Do you think this kid can step up this year? I'm not talking about feelings, okay? I'm not talking about you want him to be good. You desire and you hope he's good. I want you to put on your football helmet on and tell me, do you think this kid can be productive in year 3 and take off? Or do you think he'll be a true bust by the end of this year? Will Drake Jackson have a future, or will he be a bust by the end of the year? He has the body. He seems like a great kid. What do you think mentally is holding this kid back? What is holding him back from his true potential? If you fail under Chris Kasarik, that's alarming, in my opinion. If you fail under Chris Kasarik, that, my friend, is alarming. Last year's front four, slow. This year, different and quicker this time. I hope so. I really, really do. Now, in the defense of your statement, Nick Bosa was coming in under a contract year. He did not participate in OTAs and training camp. Therefore, he kind of was playing behind the eight ball for most of the year. This year, he showed up day one on OTAs. Nick Bosa has something to prove. Nick Bosa has something to prove to the world that he is worth every penny the 49ers are paying him. What is a good sack number for this man right here? Now, I know it's not just about sacks. Okay, I know. I know it's about pressures. It's about disrupting the quarterback. It's about containing the edge, stopping the run. I know all those factors play into how good a player is. I'm not naive. But we are talking right now, for the moment of this show, we're talking about strictly sacks. Okay? Just sacks. Now, I understand that is not just what makes a player great. For those that don't believe in just in sacks. But we're talking about sacks in this particular moment. So how many sacks do you think Nick Bosa is going to have for you to say he had a great year? What's a good number? He had a great year. Number 95, Drake Jackson, not a bust, good player. Okay, so you still have hope for Mr. 95. I like it. 12 and a half sacks. Is that for, that's for Nick Bosa? You think that if he has 12 and a half sacks, that would be a good number for him? You think that would be a good number for him if he has 12 and a half? Is that the minimum, in your opinion? Or do you think he has 15 plus? Because the year before last year, he had 18 and a half sacks. I believe in 2019, he had 9 sacks. His rookie year, 2020, he tore his ACL game 2 against the Jets or against the Giants. But it was in New York. I think it was the Giants. So he was out for the year. 2021, I believe he had 10 and a half. 2022, he had 18 and a half. And then 2023, because of the contract year, he had 10 and a half sacks. Cruz says 12 and a half sounds good to him. I think this is me. If Nick Bosa has less than 15 sacks, it's a disappointing year. Okay? This is just me. I believe that if Nick Bosa has less than 15 sacks, it's a disappointing year. Why? Because you don't pay someone $34 million a year to produce an average 10 to 12 sacks. That's just me. You don't pay someone $34 million a year to produce an average of 10 to 12 sacks. I think it has to be 15 or more from someone that you're paying quarterback money that is not a quarterback. Now, I don't think the pressure is too much for Nick. I think Nick can accomplish it, and I think he will. But I think 15 sacks or less, or anything less than 15, I should say, is not a good year for Nick Bosa. Now, last year, he had 10.5. I kind of gave it to him because he kind of missed OTAs and training camp. This year, the man needs to have 15 plus in order for him to be successful in my book. Now, again, for those that are watching late or just came in, I am not referring that sacks is the only thing that defines Nick Bosa. It's the pressures, it's running the stop, setting the edge. All those things come into play for a great player. I understand that. But we're talking about just sacks for the purpose of this conversation. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. This will be the second year of one Javon Hargrave. He was brought in last year as the highest defensive free agent coming in from the Eagles. He had a great year with the Eagles, and he kind of took a step back in 2023 with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he did not play bad. He played pretty damn good. But from the sacks, and again, we're talking sacks today, from the sacks standpoint, he had a down year than the year that he had in 2022 with the Eagles. Now, people are already calling him a bust. Now, it amazes me, ladies and gentlemen, it really does. It amazes me that people are so impatient. They're so impatient. It's like they expected Hargrave to come in year one and have 13 plus sacks. Now, if he would have been able to accomplish that, that would have been great, right? But the expectations of a lot of Niner fans crack me up. They really do. What? He didn't have 13 plus sacks? Oh, he's a bust. The Niners shouldn't have brought him in. Really? Really? Now, that's your opinion. And like everyone else, you are definitely entitled to your opinion. But myself, I am going to give him another year. Now, this will be his second year under this defense. The defense, even though Steve Wilkes is no longer here, the defensive structure is the same that it was last year and the year before. So the scheme will not change defensively, even though we change coordinators. The structure and the scheme will be the same. So Javon Hargrave will have 2 years under his belt, or going into 2 years under his belt in this system. I think that this kid is going to surprise a lot of you. Maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe it's the fan in me. Possible. But I think this kid is going to surprise many 49er fans this year. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to have 10 sacks or more. 10 sacks or more in 2024. What's up, Crazy Juice? I see you there, my friend. Cruz says, 98, not a bust. They get older. True. I want to see Hargrave do his thing in 2024. Now that we're getting back to the way it was under Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans, now that Nick Sorensen has taken over as a defensive coordinator, he's going to run that system to the T. Steve Wilkes came in, even though they stay with the same system, you got to remember, Steve Wilkes brought in some of his wrinkles. He brought in some of his wrinkles. He made some adjustments. And I think Nick Sorensen is going to continue to run a defense the way it was ran with D'Amico and Robert Saleh. We got Tommy Huxley in the chat. How you doing, Tommy? Always, always, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Happy Memorial Day to you and your loved ones. If you or any of your family members served in the military, I just want to say thank you for the services that you or your family have provided. Thank you. Hargrave, terrible signing. Is he really, though? Now, not every signing that we do is going to be a fan favorite. Now, if Javon has 10 sacks or more this year, maybe that might change Tommy's opinion of one Hargrave this year. Maybe. Just maybe. Steve Wilkes' booth. Yeah. The whole booth situation. I don't know. I don't know if the booth or being on the field really, really matters. I guess it depends on the players, right? Like Fred Warner has admitted. Fred Warner is a leader. Fred Warner is a beast. Does he really need someone on the field to get motivated? Fred Warner can motivate himself. But the truth is, he has been cultured and developed with a coach on the field since day one. He has been accustomed to having a coach on the field. So when Steve Wilkes started in the booth, even though Fred Warner doesn't need a coach to hype him up, it was probably kind of weird because you're so used to a certain way, and when that way is not happening, you kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Hargrave, the grave digger had a horrible playoff. He did. Hopefully, he can make up for it. Now, for all the games that Eric Armstead missed during the season, if there's one thing about Eric Armstead that we all know and love, is something about the playoffs for this man. The man can have an off day in the regular season. The man can be missing a lot of games because of injury. But come playoff time, Eric Armstead turned on the engine. I've never seen a defensive player have such a great playoff than one Eric Armstead. That will be missed. I don't know if I'm going to miss a lot of his production in the regular season, but that playoff production that Eric Armstead provided will be missed in the playoffs. And particularly if Hargrave cannot step up this year. Hopefully he will. All right, let's move on for the sake of the show. All right, so this will be the second year of one Robert Beal Jr. out of Georgia. Now, year one, he was kind of a redshirt. Kyle and rookies. I'll never understand. But he played a little bit. He showed some flashes. But to me, I needed to see him add more weight. Muscle weight. Not my type of weight, but muscle. And for what I've been hearing from camp, and I know it's just OTAs, but what I've been hearing is this man has been in the gym and he's added muscle to his frame. He has added muscle to his frame, and that, what I believe, was lacking year one. How big of a jump do you think Robert Beal Jr. will have year two? How big of a jump do you think Robert Beal Jr. will have year two? Can this kid be the secret sauce to the defense this year? Yep, I agree. What's up, Andrew? Andrew Martinez in La Casa, Cubo Vato. He says, what's up, Beto? Good to see you. He will beat out Bust Jackson. You know, one thing I love about Tommy, he's such a positive individual. One thing about Tommy, he's very positive, man. I mean, this guy, I could be at my lowest point and I just get energized with his, being so positive in his comments. He believes in everyone. Freaking Tommy, man. So hopefully, Robert Beal Jr. can step up year two and prove why we drafted him. We are going to need his production. We really are. We're going to need his production. So hopefully he'll be that guy. Now, we brought, as you know, Eric Armstead, because of the money, they went to Eric Armstead. They asked him to take a pay cut based on how many games he's missed and his production dropping because of his injuries. They wanted to go from 18 to 6 million. And Eric said, hell no. And good for Eric. Good for Eric. And Eric said, you know what? I'm going to go to that idiot GM that drafted me over there in Jacksonville. That moron will pay anything I want because that's what he does. And sure enough, where did Eric Armstead go? To the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we brought in, now I'm not saying this guy will have the same production that Eric Armstead had, or will he? Malik Collins was traded to the Niners from the Texans. How much of an impact do you think he will have on this defense under Nick Sorensen year one? Do you think he will make an okay, great, or man, we're not even going to know this guy's on the field? We're going to need him, and particularly against the run. That's one thing. We were number 3. This is how sad it was last year. 2022, we were top 3 in stopping the run. Top 3 in stopping the run. And in 2023, we were 26. Let that sink in. We went from 2022 top third in stopping the run, all the way down to 26. And particularly against Green Bay and Detroit, they were gashing us left and right in the run game. They were just cutting us left and right with the run game. That cannot happen. Can Malik Collins help this defense against the run first and foremost, and then bring pressure and go after the quarterback? Now, I believe that Malik Collins by himself cannot do what Eric Armstead did when he was healthy. I think the mix of Malik Collins and this guy right here should be enough. Jordan Elliott from the Cleveland Browns. Now, Jordan Elliott, he's not this big name. Okay, he's not this big name. He's not going to wow you. He's not coming in with 14 and a half sacks. He's not going to get that type of production against the quarterback. This is not why I believe he was brought in to this defense. Now, if he produces sacks, better for us, right? But the whole purpose of why Jordan Elliott was brought in is because of his ability to stop the run, to take on 2 defenders, to fill in the gap, to plug the hole. Jordan Elliott is superb against the run. Superb. Does he have to work on his pass rush skills? Yes. But the guy can stop the run. And I believe that's why they're going to change him and Malik Collins. Malik Collins is going to be in more on first and long, probably in first and second, or first and third downs. And they're probably going to bring in Jordan in second and short to stop the run. And I think that's a combination the Niners are going to work with when it comes to Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins. Malik Collins also can stop the run himself, but ideally they're going to use him more as a pass rusher from the inside, and Jordan Elliott of a blocker. So they're going to need Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott to step up and elevate this defense. We need to get back to where we were before Steve Wilkes shit the bed with our run defense. Yep. That was one of the reasons that he was fired because the inability to put the players in the right spots to stop the run. Now, this is just me, Tommy, and those that are watching. I think the absence of Talanoa Hufanga was a big reason why our run defense went from 3rd to 26th. People don't understand how valuable Hufanga is as a safety. The man is a missile. Ever since he went down with the injury, we started to slack off against the run. With the addition of Jordan Elliott, Malik Collins, and hopefully a healthy Talanoa Hufanga, if he can recover from that injury, and that injury does not linger this season, I expect our run defense to improve because we're getting Hufanga back. And we brought in Jordan Elliott. So I don't expect to be run on so easily as we were last year. Define what you mean bad. What do you mean the run D was bad before he got injured? They were 3rd, top 3 against the run. So, if you're saying they were bad because they were not number 1 or number 2, then I can see your point. Based on the run stoppers of number 1 and number 2, they were bad. But if you are 3rd out of 32 teams against the run, I don't understand where they were bad. Please define what you mean or explain what you mean about being bad before he got hurt. I think you're referring to in 2023, but we were number 1 in 2022. What? Okay, so I want to make sure we are clear, and I understand. So we were number 1. I thought we were number 3, but if we're number 1, I'm not going to argue. I think we were number 1 total defense. You might want to look at that stat there, Tommy. I'm not arguing. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think we were number 1 defense overall. But I think we were top 3 in just stopping the run. I could be wrong, but sake of argument, we're number 1. Now in 2023, Hufanga got hurt. Now, I think he got hurt, 4 games in. If I'm not mistaken, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember exactly when he got hurt. So if we were already bad from the start of 2023, I can understand your statement about us already having issues prior to Hufanga getting hurt in 2023. But nevertheless, we were bad under Steve Wilkes. Now, I don't blame Steve Wilkes. I really don't. I know a lot of people want to blame Steve Wilkes. He's not a good coach, blah, blah, blah. But listen, Tom, and everyone, when you hire a defensive coordinator to come in and become your coordinator, usually they are able to bring their staff with them, or they bring the majority of coaches with them to continue to build their structure of defense wherever they go. But Steve Wilkes, for one, was not able to bring no one because the Niners wanted him to work with the staff that was already here. And Steve Wilkes could not change the defense to the way he likes to coach. They told him, we're going to hire you, but you got to run this defense. Not the defense you like to run, but you got to run this one. Now, I believe that Vic Fangio interviewed or talked to the Niners, possibly coming to them. But when the Niners said, we want you to run this type of defense, Vic Fangio said, see you, and took off to Miami. So Steve Wilkes as a coordinator is not that bad. But coming to the Niners, the way that the Niners kind of took his legs underneath him from day one wasn't any help either. The Bucks game, he got hurt. What week was that, Tommy? What week is that? See, we started with Pittsburgh. Then we went to then we played the Rams. Was the Bucks game after or before the 3 lost games that we had against the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals? But going back to Steve Wilkes, I don't see Steve Wilkes as a bad coach. I think he just was not able to come in and do his thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. Imagine, some of you don't like Kyle, so it is what it is. A lot of you guys don't like Kyle Shanahan anymore. You guys want him fired, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. But my point is this. Imagine Kyle Shanahan coming to the San Francisco in 2017 and Jed York said, okay, I'm going to hire you, but you can't hire your staff. I will hire your staff for you. Or you can't do these certain plays. I have to okay it. Kyle would not be who he is today if he had limitations like that. I think that Steve Wilkes, now I understand why Kyle did what he did. He didn't want to change the scheme and the defense because the players to try to learn a whole new defense, blah, blah, blah. When we're in a Super Bowl window, I understand that. What I don't understand is why in the world did Kyle hire Steve Wilkes in the first place? To me, and this is classic Kyle, he did it he wanted Kirk Cousins when he came to the Niners. We'll get him next year. There's no absolutes in this world. And then he settled for Jimmy G. He wanted Kirk. He passed on what's the name of that kid? Not Mahomes. He passed on Deshaun Watson, who was already proven 2 back-to-back championships with Clemson. Then he passed up Patrick Mahomes because he wanted to bring in his guy, Kirk Cousins. And then he settled for Jimmy G. And we all know what happened after that. I think Kyle wanted Jeff Ulbrich from the Jets. He wanted to bring Jeff over from the Jets. They were trying hard to trade for this guy, but the Jets wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge. They wouldn't budge. And I believe that Kyle settled for Steve Wilkes. Just like he settled for Jimmy G, he settled for Steve Wilkes because the guy that he wanted wasn't available. It's the same picture. Kyle likes to go with people that are not available. If I was Kyle's wife, I would be concerned. No, just kidding. I'm not. I take it back. But he likes to go with people that are already priorly committed. And when he can't get it, he settles. And when he settles, it pretty much doesn't work out. A, Jimmy G. B, Steve Wilkes. Kyle, stop settling. Now, is Nick Sorensen his choice? Or is he settling for him because I believe he will be able to get Jeff in 2025 from the Jets? Things that make you say, is Kyle settling? All I know is this defense needs to improve this year. Now, I like the addition of Leonard Floyd. I love the addition of Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins. I think Robert Beal Jr. will step up in year 2. I'm still hoping and holding hope for Drake Jackson. And hopefully Gross Matos can come in and give us some good production as a rotational piece, whether it's outside or inside. And I'm excited about the secondary, guys. We're not going to talk about the secondary today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'll talk about the secondary tomorrow at 11:15. But I am truly, truly excited about the secondary. I think we brought in some great additions to the secondary. I think we are deep that we have ever been under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in the secondary, and that alone excites me. We got royalty in the house. How you doing, Don? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Blessings to you, your husband, and your 2 lovely daughters. And yes, please don't forget to Debo the like button and wipe your feet. Also, please do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, Don. Always appreciate that. So, I'm going to get off this. I'm trying to do this for an hour, and I always go an hour and 20 minutes. But I will see you guys tomorrow. I will see you guys tomorrow at 11:15 here on my channel, and we're going to talk about the secondary. We talked about the front 4 today. We're going to talk about the secondary tomorrow and the linebacking core on Wednesday. So tune in, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. If you're watching me on Facebook, thank you for joining me today. Please do me a favor, if you can, make your way over to YouTube. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. If you can just kindly go over, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of your time. Go to YouTube, type in Niner Sickness Podcast or Niner Sickness Pod, and it will come up. Subscribe to my channel and support the channel by subscribing. I would truly appreciate that. Guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Have a blessed day. Happy Memorial Day to each and every one of you. For all those that is serving, or is going to serve in the military, thank you for what you have done, doing, and will do for our freedom. Until then, I am your boy, Niner Sickness, and we are out of here. Peace. Go Niners.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,